So if you're looking at having a fantastic spring and summer of running events, then you probably looked into the idea of getting a program. If you haven't, you really should. There's nothing worse than going through from one event to the next, not really getting to the training kind of peaks that you need to in order to really enjoy your events. So for example, if you're running a 10k race, then you wouldn't want to have only run, say, 5k in training, which surprisingly a lot of people do. And this becomes even more important if you're building up towards a half marathon or further, because if you've only run, say, 10k in training and you go off and do a half marathon, which again surprisingly a lot of people do, your body is not going to enjoy the second half of that race, because it will only have stored enough energy to run 10 to maybe 12 kilometers. Whereas if you've got a plan to build up your distances gradually and safely, closer to half marathon distance, then your body's going to be a lot more better prepared to run that distance on the day. Now I'm talking about bare minimums really here, whereas for a lot of people, if you're watching this video, for example, you're probably maybe you've even run 10k half marathons before, and maybe you're feeling like you could have got some better results from the events you've run in, and maybe you did get the distances up where you need, but it still wasn't as good a race as what you'd like. So then we have to start looking at the speed. What speed were you trying to run your race at, and how did the speeds that you used in training influence that? So just so you know how we put our half marathon and 10k squad programs together, we get everyone to do a time trial in the weeks before the program starts, and the results of that time trial go into a system that, well, it's a proprietary system I asked my dad to make for me, using databases with calculations that, you can do this stuff online, but it's pretty difficult. But effectively it lets me calculate what speed you should be running. For example, if you're doing a 12k run and you've done a 5k time trial, it can tell me what speed you should be running that 12k at, depending on whether it should be an easy run, a hard run, or something in between. So if you imagine your program is not just providing the distances to run, but it's also providing speeds that you should be targeting for each of those runs, and those speeds should give you the exact workout that I want you to have as your coach. Now this is pretty advanced stuff really. If you compare this to, I'm just going to turn around here, we've got a tractor working. If we compare this to a program that you might get off the internet, you'll be lucky if they're prescribing any speeds at all. They might be saying use this percentage of effort, but this program that we create is specifically based on your ability at the start of the program, and at any stage during the program we can update those speeds, update the distances, depending on stuff that happens in life. Now obviously things happen in life and they can make our training much harder to achieve, so it's really important that your program can evolve as your life evolves. You're going to have holidays through summer, you're going to have periods where you catch a cold and maybe you need to take a few days off your training, so you miss a few runs from your program. You're probably going to have a busy work period where it becomes really hard to do the runs that you're being asked to do as part of your program. So it's really important that you know how to prioritize the important runs, and as a squad member you'll have me to ask questions. In fact, before you even those things come up, you should really know which runs are your priorities, and they'll basically depend on what the priorities are for your fitness, whether you need to improve your long distance ability, so maybe you need to prioritize the long runs, or maybe it's that you need to improve your speed, so maybe you'll be prioritizing the interval training work that is in your program. But the key thing is that whenever anything crops up, so whether it be a holiday or a little niggle that starts, or a cold or a flu, you let me know, and I'll basically help you minimize the impact of whatever that is, so that when you are ready to get back into the program, you're in as good a state as possible. And this again is just something that you don't get in a generic program, is it, that you might download from the internet. Your program needs to be able to be customized. You may decide you want to have a shot at a park run PB, and if your to do that on a whim, you may end up impacting your ability to do a really important long run. Whereas if you mention to your coach, hey coach, I want to do a parkrun PB, I think that this weekend would be a really good time to do it, we may decide it's a good time. It may not influence much in your program, but also we may suggest that actually let's wait until you've got a shorter distance long run to replace the park run with. So there's all things like that that can really just help to ensure that you stay on track with the program, that you don't skip any really important runs in the program, and that on race day, each race day, you're feeling just fantastic.